Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Will of the Nerds. My name is Will, and today we're back with another perfect podcast. And we are going to go over the perfect Far Cry game. I almost said Fallout. We already did that. I think that was the first one I did. And you can see I'm playing some Far Cry 3 in the background, just going around collecting some stuff. I'm finally doing what I said I was going to do. It's since like the second episode of Far Cry. So I'm going to collect some stuff, just run around. And we're going to talk about my idea of the perfect Far Cry game. Maybe just picking up some things that I like from Far Cry. Because I know there is a Far Cry 6 coming out next year, I believe. It's been a while since I looked into it. I'm not sure when the release date is, or if there's even a release date out, or if it got pushed back with everything going on this year, which I'm pretty sure everyone can't wait till this year ends. Oh, by the way, Merry Christmas. Merry late Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Happy holidays. This is actually coming out on the 26th, the day after Christmas, which is my mom's birthday. So happy birthday to my mom, even though she probably doesn't listen to any of this, obviously. But we will go in. I guess we'll do the normal thing that I have been doing, which is going over the game, going over my channel, then going over just gaming news or nerd news in general. So I will start with my history with Far Cry, which is Far Cry 3, obviously. I've played and beat Far Cry 4 and Far Cry 5. I have played Far Cry Primal, and I have played Far Cry Blood Dragon. Blood Dragon was fun. I didn't beat it because there was it was just a little over the top for me, I guess. I liked the vibe for it, but it didn't hit right enough for me to finish it. Plus, there was just a bunch of other games out, like other full games out. I haven't beat Far Cry Primal. A lot of people didn't like that game. I didn't care for it. It was weird. There was things I liked about it, but we'll get into that here in a second. And, what the hell's the other one? New Dawn. I haven't played that one. I wasn't interested in it when it came out. I was like, it looks neat, but, it's just kind of a gimme for them to get more money to hold you over till another game comes out. And I have seen gameplay of the first one and the second one. I know more about the second one just because I've had friends play it and they've talked to me about it. You basically just look for a malaria medicine. It sounds fun. I kind of like that idea that there's always just a threat, lurking that could kill you at any second. But I think there is like an overall main story to it, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. So, like I said, I wasn't really a fan of Blood Dragon. I really wasn't a fan of Primal. Like I said, Blood Dragon just came out when I had other games to play. I kind of like the aesthetic, like the 80s aesthetic. It was really neat. I probably should go back and finish it. It's on my 360, so I'm probably just going to have to download it somewhere and play it again. And they had a spin-off of that kind of, that fucking, like the motorcycle game for it. I can't remember what the hell it's called. But I had that, and that was fun. I can't remember what it's called. It's going to bug me now. But anyway, the reason I really didn't care for Far Cry Primal was it's just, there wasn't a whole lot to it. Bows, spears, that's about it. Like, you can't really upgrade them if you're gonna stay true to the like era of the game, which is a caveman era, I guess. There's an actual like era in history for it, but I can't remember what it is called. But yeah, like there's not really a whole lot you can do there to keep it immersive, I get like the whole tribal thing, drinking stuff like in Far Cry 4, that you get visions and stuff like that. I get that. That was neat, but I did like the idea of building up your tribe, but again, there's only so many mechanics you can put in that game to keep it, immersive and realistic. Again, I say that in air quotes. I will eventually get a cam so you guys can watch me, my gestures. So, and like, I didn't mind 5. The story was good, but it's just like, I didn't care for the map in Far Cry 5. I'm from Pennsylvania. That game's based loosely in like Montana, so mountains, forest, and fucking valleys. Wow, so exciting. Yeah, that's all there is on that map. Like, there's really nothing else. Far Cry 3, there was like coasts and jungle, forest, and Far Cry 4 was kind of the same too. And like it seemed like they made Far Cry 4, then took Far Cry 4's map and put it in Far Cry Primal, and then they just loosely edited that map again for Far Cry 5 and just changed stuff around. That's why I don't really care for it, because the map just seems the same. It's like they didn't create a new world or anything for it. They just took the same world and moved shit around, which is kind of like what they did with Fallout 76. They took assets and put them in, which I mean, if you have them, use them, but use them sparingly, I guess. Don't go overboard. That's why I don't really care for it, just because it seems like the map's not very exciting. It seems like a cut and paste of, Primal and 4. So that's why I didn't really care for it. 3, like I've said, 3 is my favorite one. It's just that was the first one I played. I have a lot of memories playing the multiplayer with my friend, with an ex-girlfriend, with a couple other friends, online and co-op, and like those little mini adventures you can do in multiplayer, which is really fun. And I wish they would come back, but again, we'll get back into that. Plus, also in 5, the shooting seemed a little touchy to me, I guess. I had a hard time like aiming and moving that, because it seemed like it moved too quickly. Even when I moved the sensitivity down, it bugged me. But that was probably just me. So it's that. I mean, that's kind of something small. The story was good, but like I said, the world in Far Cry 5 and then just the shooting, I didn't really care for too much in it. But overall, like, the stories for all of them that I've played and beat, I really enjoyed. The Far Cry 5 story was very interesting. I like how it ended. It ended on like I guess you can say a cliffhanger, but it really built up well. There was points in the story that I didn't really care for, that were kind of slow. Like, some of the boss battles were interesting. The sister of the cult, the Matthew McConaughey looking guy of the main cult. I still don't know. I can't remember. I told my girlfriend, I was like, the main guy for Far Cry 5, the main villain, looks like Matthew McConaughey. Did they use him? I don't know. I don't remember. But, anyway. Far Cry 3's story, I vaguely remember. I don't remember a whole lot. I remember going into the main town that has the main bad guy in it and playing a card game or something with him, and then having to shoot your way out, and you can choose to stay on the island, I believe, or leave. And then Far Cry 4, I really liked the story where if you sat there for 11 minutes and the bad guy for that just walks back out, and you go and spread RJ's, I think that's his name. You spread his mother's ashes, and then the credits roll, and that's the end of it. I love how simple it is. Like, if the game were to start and he just tells you to sit and wait, and like you set the controller down and you run to the bathroom, run to get a drink, and next thing you know, he's back and he's like, hey, let's go spread your mother's ashes. And then, like, I'm pretty sure there was somebody out there. There had to have been at least one person out there that, did that. They're like, all right. They waited for a couple minutes, and they're like, all right, I gotta take a leak, or I want to go get a drink. They went and got a drink, came back, and he's fucking standing there saying, let's go spread your mother's ashes now. And they go do it, and then the credits roll, and they're like, well, 1 out of 10 stars, and I did not get to play the fucking game. I did like the choices you had to make. You could choose. I think you could choose with the big bad evil guy. I still can't remember his name. Or you can choose between one of the two rebels, and they were both different. And depending on what you choose, had an outcome for the story in overall, I believe. So, I mean, like I said, the stories for the Far Cry games were enjoyable. I should beat Blood Dragon. I thought it's a very cool concept. I need to finish it. It seems like something I'd be really into. I'm editing too, so if you hear a beep in the background, that's just the editing saying it's done. Like I said, I didn't beat Blood Dragon, and I didn't beat Primal. I wasn't really a fan of Primal. There's really not much I would pull from Primal. But the one thing I really like about the Far Cry games is how they take things. So, like, the native themes from Far Cry 3 and, like, the Indian themes from Far Cry 4. And I can't really remember what they did with Far Cry 5, but how they kind of incorporate them into the game, where, like, the tatau or whatever, the tattoos for Far Cry 3, it's a whole big thing, and, like, they introduce it in a certain way that's, oh, you're a native warrior, you are a true warrior because you got the tatau. And in Far Cry 4, you drink something and you have visions, or you go to certain sites and you have a vision. And I really like how they used a vague, I guess, religious or ethnic background kind of thing to develop the story and develop your character. And, like, your character is enveloped or from that area, and they pursue it more, and it adds more depth to your character. It adds more depth to the world, in my opinion, and I really appreciate that. Maybe that's something that was kind of missing from Far Cry 5 is, like, as an American, as a Westerner, you don't really realize a lot of that stuff, and you play a game that's set in America, and there's not really any differences. You're just kind of like, meh, it's a game. Where if it's set somewhere else, you're kind of like, well, like, this is neat. It's different. It's something that I don't really know. There was a bit of, I guess, area specific things from the game, even if they were just kind of loosely based. And that's something I really hope comes back in, like, Far Cry 6. It seems like it's going to be in, like a Cuba-esque kind of country, where it would be neat to see, like, influences from that kind of background in the game. And, like, your character is connected to that, I believe, somehow, because I believe you're a revolutionary in Far Cry 6, but I'm not 100% sure. And like I said, the tattoos and the visions from Far Cry 4, I'm just kind of marking stuff off on my notes here. So, like I said, I think they're going to go back to the tropic area with Far Cry 6. That's what it seems like they're doing. And I'm glad they're doing that. That's what I would choose to do, just because, like, if you go to the tropics, you have the jungle, you have a beach area. Hell, you could probably throw in, like, a swampy jungle area and shit. Like, it's just... It seems a little more diverse, and, you know, depending on it, you can add severe storms. You know, maybe a small hurricane or something, or tropical storms that you have to be careful of. You know, if you're out and exploring, that would be interesting. It kind of adds how Far Cry 5 ended with, like, sorry, spoilers, but Far Cry 5's been out, 2 years now, maybe more. But at the end of the game, the atomic bomb goes off. And I think that just kind of, it obviously not that epic, but adding storms into the game like that could affect things and affect areas, I think that would be neat. It would add something different to the game. And again, like I said, Far Cry 6, I believe, is going back to the tropics. It looks like it's going to be in a Cuba-esque kind of territory or country where the dictator's taking over and like he's grooming his son to take over. It's actually that now that I'm going over it, the main villain for Far Cry 6, he's Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian, I believe. So he's picking up some bad guy roles lately in the past few years, I guess. And the one thing I really do enjoy from Far Cry games that I would like to see a comeback if I made the perfect Far Cry game, some of the side quests and some of the characters in the game. So I don't really care for how they did with Far Cry 5, where you can have specific companions to go with you. I feel like that should be a multiplayer thing, but like I'll get into that here in a second. I'm okay with having specific characters like that as long as they're there for side quests, and that's it. And if they join you for the side quest to clear out an area, to discover an item, to get back their pet or kill somebody, if they join you for that, I think that's neat. I like that, but I don't like going in and having somebody follow you around the whole time. You know, I get that they were trying to do like multiplayer kind of thing for it, but when I'm playing Far Cry, I just want to run around by myself. I don't have to worry about an AI running around, companion running around, getting killed, and I have to waste my shit on them. Well, because most of the time they go down quickly anyway, and you're running around by yourself, or they get glitched, and like you're in an area where you're getting your shit wrecked, and they're fucking like a mile back, not caught up yet. They're stuck on something, and you get killed, and it's a pain in the ass. So like, I just give me a quest, fill the world with some interesting characters, give me a quest for them that they can be a part of, and let it at that. And like some of the other side quests are interesting. Just in Far Cry 3, the random people there, the natives there that you can do quests for, that are just simple, easy things. They don't have to be go shoot something. They could be like, go pick flowers for me, or go find a relic or something like that. And then in return they give you money, or they're like, just keep that item, thank you, I just needed to know where it was. And like I said, I didn't really care for the shooting in Far Cry 5, but Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4, I really liked it. I don't know why people might have think it was janky, but Far Cry 5's was just too sensitive to me, so I would just go back to how you used to have it. Granted, I could have messed with the sensitivity a bit more for everything. Oh yeah, like I said, I don't like the assistant characters, the companions. I think that's something that they should get rid of. I'm not a fan of them. Now, for the multiplayer thing, I kind of like how Far Cry 3 did it, where it had its own little side quest. Well, they weren't really side quests. It was, like 8 to 10 episodes that took like 40 to an hour long to play. And they all had a goal, but it was all a story tied together that you and 3 other people could play. I really would love for them to bring that back. That is really neat. Just a DLC, maybe, throw it in there. Just here's something that's 5 hours long, or here's something that's like 8 hours long. Each episode takes like an hour to play. You and 3 friends can go in. It's its own story right along. It takes pieces out of the map and makes them like a smallish open world where you can run around and you could stealth the whole way through with your friends, or you can go guns a-blazing. But there's a certain thing you have to do for each of those missions. But I also do enjoy what they introduced in Far Cry 4, how somebody could drop in to your game. I think they did it in Far Cry 5 too, where you and your friend can go do whatever. I'm all for having a friend drop into your game, but they can't do anything like they can run around and hunt, and they can go clear areas out, but they can't progress the story because you're the main character in the story. Obviously, that's where I think that those pool of interesting characters would come in handy. Like you would have to at least do one of those side quests for one of those interesting characters, and then once you did that, then if a friend came in your game, they could pick out let's say 10 of those interesting characters you did side quests for, and they can play them. And that's it. Like they get a few buffs and stuff like that, but they don't have like this huge thing, like huge perk list or skill list or anything like that. They get the same level of gear and stuff that you can get. They could pick stuff up and go and hold with you, and you wouldn't have to worry about them getting their shit wrecked when they popped into your game. So I think that's something that they should bring back too. So that'd be something we'd throw in the game. I'm pretty sure that's going to be in Far Cry 6. I would be highly surprised if that was not in Far Cry 6, if they took that out. It's probably going to be like Far Cry 5. I'd prefer it would be like Far Cry 4, where you, like a mix of the both. Like I just said, you do side quests for interesting characters, and then somebody wants to pop into your game. They choose one of those special characters, and you run off, and they can be off on one side of the map doing something, and you can be working on the main quest. I don't like the whole tether thing. I think in Far Cry 4 they had to stay within a certain distance of you. And I know there's a Destroy Humans game that has multiplayer where it's tethered. If the one player gets too far away, it pulls you in towards the other player. I don't like that. I understand that might have had something to do with like the technology at the time. Especially in a big open world, you don't want two people running around and a bunch of different shit going on that your game can't handle. It'll slow performance down. But I do. I was going to say I like the main characters. I like Jason. I like RJ. I don't know how I feel about the guy from Far Cry 5. See, I can't even remember his name. Because it seems like you're just a faceless deputy in Montana. That's it. That's really all you are. Maybe that's why I didn't really care for Far Cry 5. Because the main character is just a nameless, faceless dude. It's a deputy. That's it. Or are you a deputy or are you like an FBI agent? Either way, like I made no connections with that character at all. Like he had, as far as I remember, he had no name. He was just there to arrest this occult leader, and yeah, he, and a series of unfortunate events. He goes through the trials and tribulations. Is that right? Is that the right word? I don't know. But either way, it just it just wasn't interesting. He wasn't a good character. Jason, he has motivation. He's going after his friends, and he's trying to help the natives, but it's kind of a give and take that he has to do. He wants to get info on his friends, but to do that, he has to help the natives. And it just draws him, further and further down a path, because he finds out that his friends are in more danger than he thinks they are. And in Far Cry 4, you go there and you find out your mother had a relationship with the big bad evil guy, and he wants to be like, the uncle that's like, hey, I'm here. I can give you all of this if you want it. All you have to do is say the word, and I will take your mother's word, and I will treat you the best because you are, I guess he loved his RJ's mother. So it's like, I will do what I can for her. If she wanted you to be happy, I'll make you happy. But I'm also not running the country a good way. And then you have the rebels that are like, this guy's oppressing me. I'm being oppressed. Help. But anyway, you have a conflict of interest there. It's like this guy knew my mom. He's going to help me get it. And like the story could be over. It could be done. I could do this. Or I can go with the rebels and actually have a moral compass. And in this one, in Far Cry 5, there wasn't really anything interesting for the character to connect. It's like, this a cult. They're bad guys. Yep. They're fucking up the countryside. Yep. You going to arrest them or not? No? Okay. Still no consequence. So, like, I don't find it interesting. I don't find that character interesting. I did like Blood. I almost said Bad Dragon. If you know what that is, you're a pervert just like me, and I'm okay with that. Blood Dragon, I believe is what it is. He's like a Terminator-esque 80s. He's like all the 80s action movie cheese in one character. And that's entertaining. That's interesting. Because it's just all the 80s tropes smashed into one guy. I mean, come on. How can you not like that? That's interesting. It's over the top. And, like, it's just, that to me, that's an interesting character. Not just a nameless, faceless FBI agent. It's just kind of there. I'm here to arrest an occult leader. But we'll move on from that. So, honestly, it's kind of tough saying that I make the perfect Far Cry game. Because they're pretty spot on. It's just, there's a lot of small things I would change. A lot of small things I hope that they would put in Far Cry 6. So, I mean, with that, like, we go into the collectibles. I love and hate the collectibles. So I love them because it adds a little history to the world that you're playing in. Oh, excuse me. And, like, it just, I kind of like maybe books or something that adds a little more history into it. There's the relics in Far Cry 3. I think there's relics in Far Cry 4 too, but I'm not 100% sure. And like I said, I played and beat Far Cry 5, but I don't fucking remember at all what's in that. But to me, having two different kind of collectibles, one that's just a big main one, there's like 100 of them, make it like a relic or something like that from the natives, and the new ones are maybe like data pads that have info from recent history, from maybe it's like pieces of info from the big bad evil guy, like journal entries or something like that. And you learn a little bit more about him instead of just what you see in the game. You learn like his psyche and stuff like that, like maybe why he is the way he is. And it adds more of like a moral compass to everyone. Like he's not being evil to be evil. Something happened along the line that made him that way. And turning that into a collectible kind of thing would be very interesting alongside everything else. And then you got the treasure chests that just adds junk and money to the world. And that also brings in I like what they did in Far Cry 3. They have it in Far Cry 4, and it's in Far Cry 5, I do believe, where you hunt down animals and you skin them and you make better pouches and stuff with it. I like the legendary animals. I like that it creates the top tier thing. To me, that adds a little more to the world. That adds some side quests to do. I believe there should be hits like there is in Far Cry 3, that maybe there's lieutenants or something you need to hunt down and kill. And I wouldn't say you necessarily need to kill them a certain way, but maybe they have prisoners taken, or they're killing civilians or something like that. And the rebellion, the resistance wants that lieutenant dead in this area, and you got to go do it. I think that, again, that adds something else interesting, and it adds another little base to the area, where instead of just the generic cut and paste bases in each area. What the hell do I have written down here? Oh, the stories. Yeah, like I said, I think I went over the stories. I really enjoyed... to me, the stories, it has some to do with the main character, but it's the bad guys they make are interesting. I didn't really care for Far Cry 5, but the main bad guy they had was interesting. Granted, he was like a very extremist kind of person, and I couldn't really, there was no like guessing why he was doing it. He was just a religious fanatic, and like I'm not a religious person, so I kind of understand where, people would buy into it. Oh, the end is nigh. It's gonna happen. This is a prophecy. Duh, all that stuff. But it didn't connect with me. The bad guy is rememberable. Just like all like 3, 4, and 5, the bad guys are memorable. I can't remember their names, but like I can picture them. You can picture who they are. Where Far Cry 4, he seems like a very calm demeanor, but as soon as he gets pissed off, it's like 0 to 10 like immediately. Because what the opening scene of Far Cry 4 is he's stabbing a guy with a pen because he did something wrong, and then he's like, okay, I'm chill now. What can I help you with? And then in Far Cry 3, you kind of have the black and white here, opposite side of the spectrum, where Boss is crazy, off the handle. He'll do whatever to just, see the fear in your eyes. And then you got the other one that's running everything, and he's more like cool-headed and, like the stern parent that looks at you with that eye, and it's like, you better do it or there's going to be consequences. And you're like, well, better fucking do it. And they're interesting. It would be the same thing for Far Cry 6, even if we made like the perfect Far Cry game. It would be that, like, the bad guys are perfect. Don't change the bad guys. To me, I think they took a step back in Far Cry 5, but I feel like they can easily get it back. You have a bad guy has a human side. He's not just evil and insane to be evil and insane. There's something there that made him how he was. And, maybe he has a point. Like, he has a point. It's a good point, but he's not taking the correct steps to get to what he wants, And it's, you can look at all kinds of shit in history like that, where if they didn't do this thing, it probably would have been all right. If they would have done this, it's just, it's hard to do that. Like, you look at a bad guy and you're like, well, that's just a bad guy. And then you actually look at the shit they went through in their life, and you look at their backstory, and you're just like, wow, okay, yeah, I see why they were fucked up. I see why, like, it's making them human. And even if you can't connect with what they did, and you can't really connect with what they went through, it humanizes them and makes you understand, like, okay, yeah, that I can see why, that's the first thing comes to mind. Hitler did this. Like, he fucking was in World War I. All the mustard gas attacks fucked him up. His fucking brother died when he was young. I think his dad beat him. And, like, nobody liked his art. It's just weird things. Like, you think of that. If Hitler would have been a successful artist, then, like, World War II probably doesn't fucking happen. It's stuff like that. Or it's like his dad could have beat him to death when he was young. Or he could have got killed in World War I. Like, just all this butterfly effects. It's like, you look at a character in Far Cry, and you're like, well, what if he, wasn't the head of a fucking country? How did he get there? Why is he doing it? And if there's that, like I said, it'll go back to like that collectible stuff, where if you get that collectible stuff where it's like this bad guy, his father forced him into like military training, and they basically brainwashed him from the age of 10 on, which I guess is what you kind of see in Far Cry 6 in the trailer, where he's brainwashing his son. It's like, yeah, like, it's, my dad did it to me, I'm doing it to you, oh well, tough shit. You think, it's like, well, what if he ran away? What if he killed his dad? What if his dad killed him? It's all kinds of butterfly effect kind of stuff, and I think that's interesting, and I think it humanizes a character, and it makes you kind of think. And connect is kind of a loose word, I guess, to say for the villains, but it makes you kind of understand their perspective when you humanize them to a point where you're like, yeah, they had a traumatic or fucked up childhood or a fucked up period in their life that made them go the way they did, and if they would have done something else, like completely different outcome. And adding that moral choice as you're playing the game, you know, that makes it fun, that makes it interesting, that makes it replayable. You know, you go through, you play it with you know, you think you're going to be good, and then you beat the game and it says, oh well, the country fell in turmoil because, you know, they didn't have anybody that could lead. Or you go back and you're like, okay, I'm going to choose this guy. It's like, well, the country became stable, but the populace fell into poverty and could never recover. Like that kind of thing. It makes you have to think about your choices while you play the game. I find that very, very interesting. So let's look at that. What I liked from each game: Far Cry 3 and 4 and 5, the bad guys. Far Cry 3, I really like Far Cry 3 and 4. The adding the native or religious kind of aesthetic to the game. The Tatao, the visions and stuff like that from Far Cry 4. Nothing I can really think of Far Cry 5. America, guns and beer and meat, I guess. I don't know. I think that was, to me, that was just kind of, like, I'm an American, so it's just stupid concept to me. But, the shooting mechanics from 3 and 4, the multiplayer from 3, somewhat from 4. The characters from Far Cry 5 were interesting. I don't like that you can bring them as companions. Like I was saying, to me, Fallout and Far Cry are separate with that. Fallout has good companions to bring with you. And I think it's because companions in Fallout can do more. You can let them carry stuff for you. You know, they're an extra pair of arms to carry shit. And you can customize them. Like, you can give them armor and shit like that. And specific weapons, where you can't do that in Far Cry. So, to me, just having them as playable characters for when a friend wants to hop in your game is good enough for me. So, like, that's the multiplayer. The stories, you know, again, the stories are good. Having a character that is relatable, a main character that's relatable, or a main character that's going through a struggle that gets him more involved or her more involved. I would actually think that would be... I would like to see a female character in a Far Cry game that you play as a female character. I think that would be interesting, because the last ones have been all dudes. You know, it would be interesting to play as a female character that's struggling in, like, because to me right now it would kind of correlate together with, you know, the Me Too movement and everything going on in general. They'll probably make it playable for a female or a male character. A lot of games have been doing that. I'm okay with that. Like in Cyberpunk, I'm playing as a female character for my personal and a male as YouTube. Just for perverted preferences, of course, because, you know, yeah. But I would like to see a female main character in a Far Cry game. It's just it would be interesting to me to see, like, a badass native girl that's like, see, everything's getting fucking torn apart. Her family got torn apart. Like, her brother was in the resistance and he got fucking killed. And she's like, well, I can either fight in the resistance and die like my brother, or I can join the other side and try to get the country stable again, kind of thing. To me, it would be neat. There's an easy way to do it. So, like, it's the thing is, don't let anybody tell you, don't let studios tell you that it's hard to make a female character, because you could do the same thing, just change one or two things. Like, you don't have to change a lover or anything like that if it's a female character. You know, you don't have to change a brother or sister. You know, I mean, if you want if you want it to be a boy and a girl and a family, and you're making it a female character, then you change that sister to a brother. Like, that's literally all you have to do, in my opinion. I don't think it's that hard. It's pretty fucking easy. But it's just, to me, I think that's something that they should do. They should put a female character in Far Cry, the main character, I think, and head back to the tropics. And that's basically the perfect Far Cry game to me. The only dislikes I have is Far Cry 5, the basically nameless, faceless, mannequin-esque main character. I don't really care for the shooting. Far Cry 3 is, the world's a little meh, but what can you say? The game was made for the 360. It's how old now? Like, I kind of understand the limitations they had for it. The cut and paste, bases were, just taking assets from one base, putting them in another base. They do it in Assassin's Creed, and that's why I haven't beat Assassin's Creed Origins, is because it's just, here's a base, here's another base, here's another base, here's a lieutenant. It's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and you just get worn out by it, and it's frustrating, it's annoying. So that's a big dislike from Ubisoft games in general. And really, like, there's not much else. So if you slap the setting in a tropical setting again, maybe in like, let's say, I wouldn't mind actually going back to Africa, like an African coast, or you throw it down in South America somewhere, and you slap an interesting main character, to me, a female character that maybe like lost her brother fighting for the resistance, and like her parents were killed when she was young, and the only thing she has is either the resistance or somebody from the actual country is like, you can come fight for us, like, you'll have money and protection, and it adds a little interesting to it. And then the more you play the game, the more you find out how corrupt the country actually is, and how fucked up the resistance actually is, because the resistance doesn't really care. They're expecting you to throw your life on the line for a cause, even though you're throwing thousands of lives away every day, and it's not doing anything, it's not changing anything. And then adding an interesting villain that's like, I can give you your riches, I can give you what you want, but, maybe he's manipulating you in some way, or, you got to humanize them in some way, like, he was brainwashed as a child to think that this is the way the country should have been ran, and it was ran fine when his dad was in office, and then as soon as his father died, everything went to shit, because his father made some shady deals, and somebody in the government thought it was going to go to them, but instead he left the country to you, and just throws it into a big fucking mess. And then it goes into like the collectibles, which would be, having like that journal logs or something like that you can have to add a little more background to everything going on. And then having like native collectibles, so whatever kind of thing is maybe like African artifacts or something that you can get. And in South America, maybe there's like Aztec or Mayan temples or stuff, relics that you can collect. And then you add the chests that just have the general, bullshit, money, junk that you can sell in it, maybe some ammo, stuff like that. And, just, there's a fuck ton of weapons you can choose from, obviously. It's going to be set in this current timeline loosely. So, there's that. And then obviously throwing in the interesting main character, interesting side characters for the side quests. And then having your friend be able to once you complete those side quests, then your friend can pop in and choose from among any of those characters you did side quests for and play them. I think that would be very interesting. I also think that maybe a little down the line, throwing in DLC kind of like for Far Cry 3, that it's like maybe an episodic kind of thing where you play. They're an hour long. It's like 8 to 10 episodes, and they all connect to a side story where you play as a different character. And, you're basically just... Then you can be like just a generic character going to do that story. And then, like I said, I forgot to mention this. I did watch some of the DLC for Far Cry 5. And I played the Vietnam one. The Vietnam one was interesting. That one kind of gave me like the Blood Dragon vibes a little bit. What the hell? The zombie one. The zombie one was a little disappointing to me. I watched that one. Granted, I don't know if it gets... I don't know if it gets any different when you get to later. But it seemed like it was just a singular story. It wasn't an open world kind of thing. And I was really hoping for like a Red Dead Undead Nightmare kind of zombie experience with that. And if I were to do DLC for my perfect Far Cry game, that's what it would be. It would be an open world zombie game. It has the same characters in it. It's a different story at this point. You're just like fighting to survive and find out what the hell happened. Maybe the government was doing experiments and something leaked, and now there's a whole fucking zombie apocalypse thing going on. So to me, that would be awesome. Zombie apocalypse, zombie open world game set in Far Cry. That's what I was really hoping for that DLC, and it didn't happen. And I can't remember what the other DLC was. I know it was pretty big. Oh, was it on the moon or something like that, or Mars? Interesting. I don't think I watched any gameplay for that though. Now that's pretty much it. So, like I said, Tropic era, interesting main character, interesting big bad evil guy, the collectibles that have to do with recent history, collectibles that have to do with basically the area you're in, interesting side quest characters, obviously the animals and the hunting stuff come back and let you build your own pouches and stuff again, and the legendary animals. I think it would be a little more interesting to go like the Assassin's Creed route with the legendary animals, where like they have a lair or something and you can go and find them instead of just bulletin board kind of stuff and you have to complete the area. I think they should just have, maybe there's a post for it, but I feel like they should just have a den area on the map. And if you go kill them, you get that pelt and you can make a legendary outfit or a legendary pouch with it. And then when you finally get the area that had it like posted, you can like turn it in or show them like the head or the paw or something of the animal that was wanted, and you get paid for it. So kind of like a double-edged thing. You can go get the quest before you do it, or you can do the quest and then go turn it in. So that's pretty much it. I just want to go back to like the tropic area. I am excited for I am excited for Far Cry 6. I expect it to be good. At this point, who doesn't expect a Far Cry game to be good? Far Cry 5, like I said, it was interesting. The story was interesting. The big bad evil guy was interesting. My main character that you played as wasn't interesting. The area wasn't interesting. But that might just be because I'm an American and like I live in Pennsylvania, and the area that they did was just like forest and mountains, and it's not interesting to me. And it seemed like it was just a cut and paste of the same map that they used in Primal and Far Cry 4. So like that's just, that's just my theory, my conspiracy theory about it. So, you do what you want with that. It don't really matter. You might really like it. Like I said, I'm really excited for Far Cry 6. I expect it to be good. I expect it to, make up for everything. It's been a year now since a Far Cry game's come out. Everything's kind of got put on hold now. This is the thing, as I'm hoping with one of the positive things I would hope with COVID would be is that I hope developers take a step back and they sit back and they look at their games and, they don't put the same thing out that they've been putting out. I was excited for what is it? Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and then it came out. I didn't buy it because I watched the reviews and stuff first, and it apparently it wasn't good. And I got the Division when it first came out, and I got to a point that I couldn't get past in the Division, and I never played it. And then the Division 2 came out, and I was like, fuck this. Like, it got bad reviews and everything. Like, Ubisoft had a downward dip there, it seemed like. And I would love to see another Ghost Recon game. I love the old Ghost Recon games. I love Wildlands. Wildlands was a really fun game. It had a lot to do, and I burned myself out on it a lot. It seemed like a game that would be more fun playing with friends. But I like the old Far Cry game, or the old Ghost Recon games where I think you could play as multiple different characters, and you could choose the loadouts and stuff for all of the characters. I think that would be something neat. But anyway, that's for something else. I'm just going on about Ubisoft at this point. Ubisoft, whatever you say it is. I say Ubisoft. I think sometimes I say Ubisoft. But that pretty much ends this part of the podcast. So I'm going to take a break to get a drink because I'm getting parched. So that's the perfect Far Cry game. Before we move on, if you guys can let me know in the comments what your perfect Far Cry game would be. Where would it be set? What would the big bad evil guy be like? What would your main character be like? What would the general setting of the game be like? And with that, now we can move on to the next part, which is basically channel updates and what I'm doing for the channel. So, as you can see, I don't know if I said this last podcast. I do have better thumbnails now because I've been editing pictures. I do want to get working on adding like subscribe and thumbs up button on the videos. I need to watch maybe a little tutorial on how to do it. It's probably not that hard. If I could find, I know how to add stuff in the videos. I just need to find, I guess, the right thing or a free version of the like or subscribe button to put into the videos. So hopefully here starting next year, that'll be figured out. It'll be ready to go. Scheduling wise too, on Sundays, it's still going to be Fallout. On Tuesdays, it's going to be Far Cry. And then on Thursday, it'll either be 7 Days to Die or House Flippers. And then Friday is going to be Cyberpunk. And then the second Saturday of every month will be The Witcher. It's going to be about an hour-long episode, 40 to an hour-long episode. And then every second Saturday of the month would be the podcast. I might break up the podcast here and there. I might just pick random shit to talk about. Because like I said, there's only so many perfect podcasts that I can do for like a perfect game. If you guys have any ideas, let me know down below. If there's a topic you guys want me to ramble about, let me know. I'm pretty much willing to cover anything there as long as it's gaming or nerd, D&D, Magic, video games, anything like that. What the hell was I gonna say? Oh, as you probably heard, it's gonna be House Flippers and 7 Days to Die on Thursday, unlike 7 Days to Die and The Witcher. The reason for that is The Witcher is just that The Witcher's a lot, and I've played it 2 other times before. It's not very exciting for me, so I figure I can sit down and play it for an hour and get a little more done. Just sit there playing mindlessly for 40 minutes to an hour, and it'll be more entertaining than having to chop it up into like 20-minute bits. So that's the reason I'm doing that. And like House Flippers is kind of boring, and like I kind of have to rant a lot in that. So there's that. I have to ramble a lot in House Flippers. So it's easier to do it in smaller increments and pick up because it does get mind-numbing just painting in-house flippers. So, it's easier just to throw that in like a 20-minute episode, 18 to 20 minutes. Sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, depending on what happens, how into it I am. So, that's basically it for channel updates. That wasn't a whole lot. Because there really isn't anything new. I do have games that I want to play. Which is, what the hell? Kingdom Come Deliverance. I think I have Outer Worlds that I want to play again. I played it once on the Xbox. It's a really good game. Good game. Best game. Quoting old Donnie Trump there. It's the best game. I have Vampire that I want to play. That's not on the top of the list, though. Oh, what the hell is it called? I'm going to have to get on Steam real quick and look. So ignore my mouse clicking in the background. I have Banished. That's probably on the list to play for like Thursdays. Oh, Greedfall. Greedfall is the other big game that I've been wanting to play. And I know there is another one. I have the Mass Effect games. They're on here to play. I do want to get Rage 2 and play it. Like, I have a list of a bunch of games. So, like, if this channel ever gets taken off, I'll probably have a video uploaded damn near every day. Every day but one, probably. So, if the channel grows, if I get enough... if I get enough to either, this is way in the future, to make this a full-time thing or make it more like a part-time thing rather than just a hobby, then I'll probably, upload more. So if it came to a point where, like, if I get laid off again, then maybe I'll upload an extra video a week. It might not be a big RPG game. It'll probably be something smaller. Maybe I'll play Total War or something like that. That way it's a little more interesting to me. Although if I'm playing an RPG game like Kingdom Come Deliverance, I'm not going to have a personal playthrough for it. It's just going to be my personal playthrough is going to get recorded. Whereas for like Cyberpunk, I have my personal playthrough, which I can be a little more dirty and perverted in it, and I don't have to watch anything I do. Where I have another one for YouTube where I just make bad decisions and I'm an idiot in the game and I have to be a little more careful what I do. That way I save myself editing. I believe there is a filter or an edit that I can do that edits nudity out, but it's easier just not to worry about it at all. Like if I can't get past it, then I can just, if you've seen my center bar, you know what it is, that's what it's going to be. And I just prefer the less editing I have to do, the better. So that's why I have two different things for Cyberpunk. Because I knew going in it was going to be... It's a mature game. There's going to be a lot of adult content in it. It's a futuristic game, and if America ever gets that way, sexuality and sex and stuff's not a sore topic to talk about, I guess. It's more open, which is how it should be. It's more European and I guess Asian, you could say, in Cyberpunk, and it's the future. And I do know this is kind of shifting gears into just gaming news and in general now. Cyberpunk does have a tabletop RPG version that I do want to play. I've never played it. I don't think I've read or watched any gameplay on it. I'm very interested in it. I actually forgot about it till a couple days ago, so I'm interested in doing that again. Playing it. I've never played it. Like I said, I've played D&D. I've played Pathfinder. I've played 3.5, and I have books for the Star Wars RPG, tabletop RPG, which I'm kind of on. I mean, if I play it, it might change my mind, but it's I don't like the dice system that they use for it. And then there's Zweihander, which I believe is how it's pronounced. It's more like a grim dark version of D&D, which looks very interesting. I want to give that a try. What the hell else was there? There is a Western game I saw Critical Role play. I think the episode, not the episodes, the series they have for it is called Deadwood. And I want to give that a try. It's kind of like Magic Powers in the Old West. It kind of meets like steampunk. Even though I'm not a big steampunk fan, it seems like a little less of that. But it looks interesting. I want to give that a try. There's a bunch of them too. There's a couple other ones I saw that I don't really remember the name of. There is a another space tabletop RPG I saw just going to Barnes and Nobles and looking through the books. Looks interesting. And there's an older version of Star Wars tabletop RPG game that I want to get and try. I think it has the D20 system like Dungeons and Dragons uses. And there's also Tasha's Cauldron of Everything book that I want to get. And we're getting close to a point to where I'm running my new campaign, which I'm excited for. Like, it has a lot to do with 80s music and heavy metal music in general. So I made it to where my friends, like, it has a lot of Easter eggs in it. So hopefully my friends that do like music would pick up on it. So when we start playing it, I can do that for a podcast to give like a recap at the end of the episode after. Or I might do that for a podcast is if I get a video camera, if my friends are up for it, record it and put it up as a podcast instead of like a podcast. Because like I said, there's only so many things I can do for a perfect podcast for perfect video games. So that's it for basically that. I did run into a few glitches with Cyberpunk 2, just having stuff floating somewhere. If you watch the gameplay, you'll see it. There's just random shit floating everywhere. I mean, it's frustrating, but it's kind of entertaining. And then in my personal gameplay, there was a point where one of the characters during the brain dance, Evelyn, I believe, is walking around back and forth, like pacing. And then she sits down with her leg crossed, and she goes sliding across my screen and then stands up and keeps walking. And there's a police officer that was sitting at a noodle stand, and the bench, the chair, didn't render underneath him. So he's like using his core strength to keep him up while he's eating noodles, and it's fucking hilarious. I haven't had any real bad glitches. Some of them are more entertaining and funny than anything. But it seems like they're getting them cleaned up pretty quickly. And I'm not too worried about it. I've been playing on PC. I haven't had any problems. I heard most of the problems are on Xbox One and the PS4. I do hope to get an Xbox Series X here next year sometime. So it's just a matter of time. I'll get it eventually. Not right now. Don't have the money, and like scalpers and shit just, selling them for like $600, $700, being a pain in the ass for everything. So I'll wait till next year. Hopefully all of this clears up next year and I'll be able to get one at a normal price, which would be nice. And I don't think there's really anything else on Cyberpunk news. I don't really follow gaming news. I mean, I follow gaming news, but I'm not a gaming news channel, so there's a few people I watch for that. Mr. Matty Plays, Juicehead. There's one other guy I haven't watched in a while, but there's 3 or 4 that I watch for gaming news. I don't really get into it too much. If it's a game that I've been playing or a game that I'm interested in, I'll watch it. But other than that, it just kind of goes to the wayside. When I was into Fallout 76 there for a while, playing a lot of it, I watched like a video every day of just the fiasco of everything going on or the updates going on for Fallout 76. And it's just something to watch on YouTube half the time too, just something to use as background noise. But we will switch gears into Magic the Gathering has a new set coming out called Kaldheim, which I saw is Cold Home in Norwegian or something like that. And I really liked the PR thing that Wizards of the Coast did. They got some like Viking metal bands to promo some of the cards. I think it was like 10 bands over 2 days, and they each band promoted a card. I really like that. That's really cool. The only two that I heard off of that list that they had was Amon Amarth and Mastodon. I'm not a fan of those bands, but I found that really entertaining. I found that really neat that they did something like that. That's, cool. Good on them. And they say this is like the most heavy metal set that Magic has released. And I've seen some of the spoilers. I've watched a couple videos for spoilers for Kaldheim. And the alternate art for the cards is pretty fucking cool. It has like that old Celtic look to them. It's pretty badass. I suggest going and finding Bad Boy Gaming was one of them. MTG Goldfish is another one. And I think the Professor does some stuff too. I don't know if he has any spoilers or not on his channel, but I suggest at least looking at the alternate art for Kaldheim. There was a few of them that I saw, and they look pretty cool. And so far, there's a good bit of cards that I like from the set. I don't remember any names off the top of my head, but there's a couple White Angels coming out that are good. Kaya is a Planeswalker. I don't really play Planeswalkers that much in decks, but I really want to make a white-black deck around Kaya, and it's looking like maybe some black-white angels in that, and I see some angels that I can use to upgrade my angel deck. I am working on an angel cleric deck, and there's some angels and clerics coming out in the set that would work perfectly in that deck that I'm working on. Make like a nice black-white deck to work around Kaya. Tybalt is the other Planeswalker in it, and they have a new Planeswalker. I can't remember his name. And who's the fourth one? I can't remember. There's another Planeswalker too in the set, and I can't remember who it is. But I guess people are expecting Tybalt to be pretty good in the set for Wizards to finally realize that Tybalt is not a good Planeswalker. But it's frustrating to me too, because I like collecting the Planeswalkers, right? And every time I get close to getting almost all of the Planeswalkers, within 10 Planeswalkers, they're like, here's 5 new sets all in a row, and here's 20 new Planeswalkers, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, Wizards of the Coast, why you gotta do this? And sorry for that thing, by the way, that little pop. I accidentally nudged my microphone. I need to get a control arm so it negates all that noise. But yeah, it's just come on, Wizards of the Coast, why you gotta do this, huh? Why you gotta be this way? I got almost all your Planeswalkers, and now you do this. And I want to collect all the Japanese alternate arts for the War of the Spark Planeswalkers too. I think I have 1 or 2 of them. Liliana's the one I want the most, but she's $170. But oh my god, oh, it's beautiful. A lot of them are beautiful. There's only 2 or 3 Japanese alternate arts I don't like. Kai is one of them. I believe, is Dovin one of them? That mysterious dude that starts with a D. I can't remember his name. I like his alternate art. Kaya's alternate art, or not Kaya, Kiora. That's it. Kiora's alternate art's really nice. I think that's the one I have. And there's a few other ones that I like. Overall, there's all but like 2 or 3 of them. Like, they look beautiful. They look nice. And like, I sometimes wish they wouldn't do shit like that. You know, if they did do it, I wish they had like just a set that's just alternate art. It's a whole big thing now where you can get expanded art, you can get alternate art, but you gotta buy like the premium pack. You gotta buy the VIP pack to get the best stuff. The foil cards, it's got extended art, it's got alternate art, it's got everything. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, Magic. Wizards of the Coast. I'm like, really? Why? Why? Like, I don't got that much money. Your normal person buying this doesn't have that much money. Why? Why can't you just release, change a slot in the packs to an alternate art? Take one of the take a common slot out and throw in an alternate slot where it's either an alternate art or an expanded art. And there's a chance that could be a rare. Another rare, so you could get another rare. To me, it's just frustrating that, Wizards is making a profit off of it, regardless. Because let's say it takes like $1.50 to make a pack of cards, and they're selling them for $3, so they're making $1.50 profit. And let's say they do foiling on all of the cards, and it's now like $2.50 to make it, and they're selling the pack for $5. Well, I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, what's whatever 5 times 26 is? Let's see, 5 times 20 is 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 160. Yeah, so like, well, you can't sell it for like $180 or $150, excuse me, for like a full booster box, 36 packs, where every card in the pack is foil for $150. Why's it got to be like $250? It doesn't cost you too much more to do it, and you're still making a massive profit in the end. And then, to me, it's consumer friendly. They don't want consumer friendly, in my opinion. That's a whole nother thing. I can get on my soapbox and bitch and moan, but we are going to end it there. It's been an hour and 12 minutes to do this. So if you guys could please like, subscribe, share, hit that bell icon, that way you get notified when I do upload a new video. You can follow me over on Facebook and Twitter. The links to those, like always, are in the description. And tell me what your perfect Far Cry game is. Like I said earlier, where would you set it at? What would the theme be? What would your main character be? What would the bad guy be like? Tell me what you think of Cyberpunk, or tell me what game you're currently playing that you are really interested in. And let me know if you like the new Magic set coming out. Well, not new Magic set. The Magic set coming out in February next year. And if you like the idea of me possibly recording my friends and I playing D&D once everything is cleared up and we can all get together and hang out, let me know if you think that would be a good idea to replace a podcast every now and then. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next one.